Hello and welcome. I'm Dr. April Strom, Principal Investigator of the Arizona Mathematics Partnership, or AMP, a project funded by the National Science Foundation. AMP is a professional development and research project focused on advancing teachers' knowledge of teaching and learning of middle school mathematics. One of our main goals is to help our teachers transition to the Common Core state standards and align their teaching with the standards for mathematical practice. Let's hear more about the Common Core in AMP.
But the one thing that makes the Common Core different than anything in the past is the 8 standards for mathematical practices. This fact that from K-12, we're going to develop in kids things like problem-solving abilities and to persevere in problem-solving, to make viable arguments and critique the reasoning of others, to engage in reasoning. Those kinds of things are really what separates the Common Core from any other past effort to improve our schools.
So we've got the ways of doing mathematics, but we also have the ways of thinking about mathematics. And so this is another strength of the Common Core is, so yeah, we're talking about doing mathematics, we're also talking about thinking about the mathematics. And that is the notion of that there are these progressions in how ideas and how ways of thinking are developed throughout the grades. So it's not just a teacher in 4th grade teaching it this way, and then a teacher in 5th grade coming in and teaching it their way, and then a teacher in 6th grade differently from the way the 4th and the 5th graders perhaps doing it, because the thinking is supposed to be developed from here and follow all the way through a trajectory, a progression from the beginning to the end. And it takes some studying to see that in there, but that's in there.
So instead of a list of standards that you got in for the Arizona 2008 standards, we had this list of just a bunch of skills that teachers or students were expected to master. Now it's about more of a conceptual understanding of the content with a more focused, coherent rigor.
It's wonderful to work with the teachers and see the shift and to see them go from the mathematics they're used to, what they were brought up with, what they saw, maybe even what they saw going through the university was the ways of doing, and the mathematics emphasis on the ways of doing. And the teachers now come to us and they're open. They're open to want to figure out how to become better.
What's rewarding is the teachers thought that their students couldn't think this way, that the students couldn't do anything unless they told them right up front, this is how you solve a problem, this is how you get the answer. And it's just so much fun to watch the teachers' faces as they see their students discover how to solve a problem, and they weren't told by anyone how to do it.
I love working with the teachers, but I think more than that, I love working with their students. I love getting in the classrooms, and when our teachers adopt what we've been doing in a summer institute or a Saturday workshop and bring it to their own classroom with their own kids, and seeing those kids get excited about making sense of mathematics, to get excited about solving interesting problems and have a sense of pride that they were able to persevere and overcome and solve a difficult problem. I love that connection to the work that we do in the workshops and the classroom and the kids.
And what changes a teacher's belief system is personal, first-hand experience. And that's the beautiful thing about AMP, is that the teachers go through the first summer week in a student-centered classroom. The teachers, all the facilitators, model the strategies that we use to create a positive atmosphere, a culture in the room where people feel safe, that they can share their ideas. They know the ideas will be critiqued, but as a person, they'll be respected themselves. And teachers need to see that in action before they're willing to try it in their own classroom. That's powerful, and I think that's unique for AMP.
So their attitude has been, the only word I can think of is uplifted. They just are so enthusiastic. They feel like they have this army behind them to help them to answer mathematical questions that me as their principal can't answer because I'm not a mathematician. And they get this great support. So they're enthusiastic, they're energized, they're really, really excited about math and everything that they can offer their students.
The AMP project aims to increase the quality, quantity, and diversity of middle school mathematics teachers through summer institutes and workshops during the academic year, where our teachers work with community college faculty to deepen their knowledge of mathematics. The types of activities we use in our project demand a higher level of thinking, where reasoning, justification, synthesis, analysis, and problem solving are the essence of the task. Let's hear what our teachers are saying about the AMP project.
AMP, it empowered me to not just look at math as just procedures and things to memorize. It opened my eyes, and if what I thought was math before was just part of it, now they can see the whole picture.
Kids, I see the kids get it a lot more. I see them be able to explain to me their thought process and how they understand math at a deeper level. Before, I was mostly just kind of a general take notes and regurgitate what you know, and now it's more in-depth with the kids, and it's totally changed my effectiveness.
Well, one thing that we did last year that was really helpful is we took a whole new approach to equations. We brought in the counting trips that we had done with Scott, and we'd used them with integers, and then we started using them with the equations last year, and it was so helpful. And just having that different approach and having the kids more hands-on really helped them understand what they're actually doing with the equations. And trying to make them understand versus just going through the process is a totally different outlook on how math is taught compared to how most of us were taught growing up. So
the students are starting to recognize the relevance of the math in their lives, rather than in the past teacher lectures, they take the notes, it's just we learn the skill for the test and then we move on. I think the students are changing their attitudes towards math to there's a purpose behind it. Even if the problems are contrived, they're recognizing that we're learning the reasoning skills, we're learning that math has some substance to it that we can now use in our lives.
One of the activities that AMP teachers engage in during our project is a CCOL, which we have defined as a collaborative community of learners. These sessions allow teachers to collaborate together and discuss the mathematics while discussing the challenges that they face in their schools. One of the interesting components of our CCOLs is that the community college faculty are facilitating these groups.
We actually have been able to secure classroom teachers that are community college professors that have taught high school, junior high, middle school for a number of years. So they've been in the classroom. They've got a really good background in the math ed literature and research and solid content knowledge. So they're the facilitators. They go to the schools, and typically the design we want really is for them to go in and observe the teachers that we're working with classrooms.
They help a lot because it really gives us an opportunity as a department to really discuss math and talk about math. If we're having an issue with something, we can bring it. And the people who are in charge of AMP are really good at providing us with resources and finding answers that we don't necessarily have.
And sometimes when we're in our classrooms, we won't speak up. We're like, oh man, I'm all alone in my little island in my box. But being in that CCOL allows for that open communication and sharing those ideas.
I have time to communicate and discuss with the other math teachers on my team. We collaborate with ideas and refresh our attitude with AMP. Not saying that I forget it, but it's nice to have that as part of the process, part of knowing that I'm going to have that support every month.
I love AMP. I mean, of course, I was a very spirited first-year teacher and very excited about it all, but it was so nice to have the drive and the help us as teachers to persevere and really understand how the students struggle and how to help them. And the community, like I said, building a community of teachers. I mean, this is our first year we're actually sharing resources with other junior highs.
It just makes you a better teacher, and it just gives you different ideas and different ways of looking at things. And I think if I had been taught this way when I was younger, I think math would have been a completely different experience.
Making the transition to Common Core is tough enough on your own. Even trying to make the transition with a few other teachers is extremely difficult. But to be able to go through the AMP program and have professors put you in the shoes of the students, go through some problem solving, modeling the math practices, those are all benefits of AMP that I would never have gotten on my own or just working with my colleagues.
But just, I mean, what we learned in the Saturday workshops and the summer workshops completely changed the way that I think about teaching, and especially teaching math.